Call to order of a regular meeting, the Goodyear City Council, September 28th, 2009. Would you please join Vice Mayor Lord in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'd all bow your heads and pray with me. And as you know, tonight we have lots to pray for. Heavenly Father, I ask for your presence and your grace to fill this room, giving us the gift of peace through your word. We ask for your blessings of recovery placed over our city during these difficult economic times. And Lord, grant us the wisdom we're going to need to make these decisions in the next coming weeks. We pray for your blanket of safety placed over the men and women of our armed forces and our public safety serving throughout the world. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. All members of council are in attendance. We do have expenditures to ratify for June, July, and August. And
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Antoniak?
Yeah, I'll be recusing myself from this.
Okay, Mr. Antoniak is, for the record, recused himself. Any comments or questions on the expenditures? Okay, could I have a motion to approve them, please?
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Susan, a second from Councilmember Cavalier. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0. We'll now move to communication. We'll start with Sherilyn Holman, who's the director of the Southwest Valley, CEO of the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce, for an update. Sherilyn, welcome. And for the record, Councilmember Antoniak's return to the dais.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You know, given the nature of the gravity of what you have just said, I truly, truly respect what you are thinking right now. And I don't want you to make light, but this is our opportunity or my opportunity. I just want to say thank you for our partnership. We have worked together for so many years. And I do respect your time, and I promised I would keep this very brief. I think our mayor knows Sherilyn too well and knows that from time to time I get wordy. So I'm going to try very hard to be respectful and still accomplish. I did put a packet together, which is in front of you. I'm not going to go through it, but it's kind of the stuff that we've been doing over the last year. Many of you saw it because you were at the annual meeting, but I just kind of wanted to put it together and let you peruse it when you have the time. I particularly want to thank Frank. Frank is your representative to our board of directors appointed by the mayor. And I went to Frank with a challenge that we had because we are a state Arizona Office of Tourism designated visitor center, and we were having a lot of people say, I can't find you, the signage after I get off the freeway isn't working, and can't you do something? And Frank took that to staff came to me, and I have to say parish, and I'm going to read the names because I don't want to forget anybody. Luke Albert, Bobby Brenson, Elaine Schmierbeck, Joe Schmitz, and Hugh Bigock identified ways that we could work together and make it happen. Additional signage went up in July, and it was a great partnership. And I want you to know, since the signs went up, not one person has come in to say they're having a hard time finding it. So it was very effective, and recognizing that the city has a budget, and that was not part of it. The chamber did find a way to pay for those signs, so it was a good partnership. With their expertise and resources, we were able to pay the bill, and it worked, and it solved the issue. So I just wanted to let you know that's one way we've worked together very successfully. And the chamber building itself, you know, that's on city land. We had a 99-year lease, and already 8 years is gone, so we only have 91 more years on our lease. But I just want to thank you for that, because I think that's been very successful for the business community to demonstrate the prosperous and progressive business community that we do have. And if you haven't been, I know you all have been. I was going to say, if you haven't been inside the building, come on. Okay. I also wanted you to know that the Chamber has joined other 6 West Valley chambers, and we do hire lobbyists to assist us in identifying those issues that are important to the business community. And as a result of conversation with our cities, we have been able to respond appropriately to such things as revenue sharing is an issue, and put that perspective and add our voice to help in those issues. So I just want you to know that those are issues you can bring to the Chamber. We are becoming more active, and we do have professional advice and find ways where we can work together successfully. There are a couple of things I want to bring up really fast, and one is we're having an additional BR, Business Retention Expansion Program that's very, very exciting with our economic development people from each of the 4 cities and a partnership with Estrella Mountain Community College. We will be coming to you in May with the results of the visitations that have occurred in our business community as a result of that partnership. It's very exciting. It was brought up in July, and we'll be interviewing prospective students this coming week. So it's really a win-win-win situation. And I thank Harry Paxton and Barbara Coffey for their participation in that. But it is a 4-city effort, and it's going to be wonderful and I think helpful for our business community. And the other thing that I wanted to say to thank the city's participation, we're doing a Southwest Valley Goes Green, April 17th. And again, it will be a whole Southwest Valley effort to demonstrate our commitment to green efforts from the business community and the cities. So if there's any questions you have as a result of what I said, I know we can't talk about it tonight, but please call me. Our partnership has been very viable. You get quarterly reports from the Chamber. I hope they've been helpful in determining how important this partnership is. And I just wanted to say thank you. We appreciate you. We do not take you for granted. And we look forward to our continued partnership.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for all you do for us.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a response, if I could. The Chamber is becoming more and more effective, and I think the positive relationship, the effectiveness of the Chamber, and the positive relationship with the city has been better as the years progress. And I think we are making a lot of progress, and Sherilyn has taken the lead in that and making this happen. So I think our chamber is probably one of the better chambers in the entire valley. If I were to put them up against all of them, I would put ours ahead of all of them. Thank you very much for all your time and all the effort, Sherilyn, and all the other members of the board.
So we had to do this.
Thank you. I now to introduce Rorik Massey, who will introduce our Ethics Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Tonight, on tonight's consent agenda, you have the first ever City of Goodyear Ethics Handbook. That document is the result of the work of a group of 11 of our citizens who began meeting in June of 2008. Met on a biweekly basis, worked very hard to put together that document for you. Came in front of the council for 2 work sessions to answer questions council had about that handbook. We would like to take a few minutes this evening and present to them a small token of our appreciation to their service to the city, if you don't mind. And with that, the majority of the committee is here tonight. I'd like to call them forward and with this, the mayor and give them that small token. And we'll start with Dr. Denise Bates. Maxine Hill. Sandy Hertz. Sergio Escamino. And Catherine Wallinger. The other members of the committee indicated they had conflicts tonight or otherwise out of town. That was Major Stephen Anderson, Greg Eidelman, Mike Lauer, Regine Mitchell, and Ken Porter. But we appreciated their participation in this committee as well. Thank you.
Closer, perfect. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, everybody's eyes are open.
Being on a committee is not new to several of those folks. They serve their city in various ways, I know council is very, very thankful and appreciative for the effort you put forth on this ethics committee, and it was very time-consuming. It took a lot of thought, so we thank you for hanging in there with us, and you make us a better city. So thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move to opportunity for any citizen to comment or address the council on any subject which is not on tonight's agenda, and I understand we have 3 cards.
Yes. The first speaker is Jeff Stokes.
Just stand. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Kavanaugh and fellow council members, how are you? Good. Good. My name is Jeff Stokes. I was here a couple months back, and I'm the co-chair of Goodyear in Action. And I'm here to report on, which I hope most of you know, was last Saturday, our first annual Goodyear in Action Day. So I first want to thank some people. Without a lot of local communities and volunteers to help me and a few of the others that are part of the original Goodyear in Action group, we could have never pulled this off. First, Mayor Kavanaugh, I'd like to thank you for your support and leading the troops first thing in the morning on the hike. We had over 30 people attend the morning hike up in Estrella Mountain Range. Also, Mike Svets, I think I see him in the back. Mike's been instrumental as the Director of Parks and Rec, as a liaison for us and our group, and I'd like to thank him for his support and guidance through this process. Paula, Lordo, Nora, and Michael here with the city as well, with helping us get the event promoted. They were very instrumental in putting an ad in West Valley View and then also in Focus, and a great full page that was dedicated to Goodyear in Action. So sincerely appreciate their help. Council members Osborne and Pizzella, thank you as well for your support and being involved in a couple of meetings that we've had. And the city of Goodyear, because we also received a proclamation, and that was very, very exciting for us. This is the first year of this group, so to receive that was very exciting. We also received one from the state of Arizona. So things are up and running with Goodyear in Action. I thought real quick what I'd like to do is recap our mission and then also give you a quick overview of what took place this past Saturday. First of all, our mission's pretty simple. We'd like to be the group that makes Goodyear one of the healthiest cities in the country, and truly believe that we can do that. And it's simple, by promoting, educating, and motivating the citizens of Goodyear to get active and live healthier lives. The mission of Goodyear in Action Day was to get as many citizens active and better educated on the benefits of healthy living on this one day annually. Keep in mind, too, we came up with this date. The last Saturday of every September is also National Family Health and Fitness Day. So it aligned perfectly with what our role and mission was as a local group. And from my reports that I got, starting late Saturday night to all day Sunday to first thing this morning, we had some great participation. So again, the events ran from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, the 26th. Started with, again, the hike in the morning with the mayor. We had about 30 participants. I think on a normal hike with the ranger, they usually get about 10 to 15 people, so we doubled that number. We also had what was called the Great Roller Relay. A lot of the local teachers and administrators with the local school district got together, and they did a relay across the city. Does that mean my time's up?
No, you have a few seconds.
I got a few seconds, okay. The Great Roller Relay, so that we had over 20 teachers and administrators. Estrella Maltby Sports had a kids triathlon, very, very exciting. We had the state superintendent, Tom Horn, come and do an announcement, but we had over 115 kids, over 450 participants, family members. That must mean I'm really up. Can I finish with just an overview?
Yes.
Okay. The Skate Zone, a business that just opened here in Goodyear, had over 260 participants. West Valley Hospital had what was called the 40-yard dash, which was local screenings free to the local citizens. We had 20, something we can grow there. Palm Valley Homeowners Association had over 200 participants out picking up and doing yard work, with one gentleman riding around the neighborhood picking up litter. Which good that you saw. So he had a mission. The YMCA again has an annual event, America on the Move. It was well attended. I didn't get the numbers, but I was there to do an announcement. So well over 1,000 participants, and they had a 5K which had about 60 people first thing in the morning. And again, that wasn't well promoted. So some opportunity. At Lifetime, we had over 2,500 people come through the doors, with over 100 of those being guests on that day alone, with some of the free activities. And a couple other I'd like to recognize. Primrose Schools had 21 visitors that are not part of their school system that came and used the playgrounds. And then we had Franklin Pierce University, Estrella Mountain Cyclery, Excel Youth Sports, Palm Valley Elementary School. They had a walk. Estrella Lacrosse Club all participated and had some success with their events as well. So overall, first year, outstanding attendance. So I'd just like to thank again the citizens of Goodyear, council members, and the mayor for helping us. And we're already in the process of how to make 2010 even better and bigger, with some other events throughout the calendar year starting in November. Any questions?
Great recap.
Awesome.
And thanks to you and your team, really. You didn't mention your team. Why don't you do that real quick? Jen Barber,
Yeah.
Anton, just...
Yeah, we have 4 people that are the primary core of putting this together. It's myself, Jen Barber, Anton Pratt, who is the athletic director at one of the middle schools here in Litchfield School District, very passionate about childhood obesity, and then also Amy Vasquez, who ran the Estrella Kids Sports and is a local citizen and a tremendous triathlete. So that's the core, and I'd like to thank them as well.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second speaker is Ted Maltby.
Ted leave?
Is he out in the hall?
Ted Maltby.
I think Ted left.
Maybe he left.
Okay.
Rose Schmidt and Jim Westerman.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council this evening. We're here today representing the Southwest Lending Closet. I'd like to introduce Rose Schmidt, our board member responsible for public relations. I am Jim Westerman, currently serving as the president of the Southwest Lending Closet. The Southwest Lending Closet was founded in 2000 as a 501c3 corporation, and since then, Goodyear and the Goodyear City Council has played an important role in our organization. We are proud to list both current and former City Council members and mayors as Southwest Lending Closet board members. Mr. Joe Pizzillo today. Thank you so much for dedicating your time. But it is your financial support that allows us to fulfill our mission. It is much needed and greatly appreciated. Your support allowed us to serve 1,583 people last year, 504 of which were Goodyear residents. So far this year, through August, we have served 1,217 people, 335 of which were Goodyear residents. What is both interesting and amazing is that we're only open 12 hours a week. Doing the math, that means every 25 minutes we are open, someone is leaving the Southwest Lending Closet with a piece of durable medical equipment they urgently need. So on behalf of the Board of Directors and all the volunteers of the Southwest Lending Closet, we present to you this small token of our appreciation. The brick symbolizes the building block that you are to our organization. The key symbolizes the important role you play in our organization. Your generous grants and the caring citizens of Goodyear are the keys to our success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give the highest respect for you, Jim, and all the people that work with you.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
a
for
very
many
worthy
years.
cause. I'm proud to be associated with them.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I do have one more speaker card.
How about the gentleman that wasn't here? Is he, call his name one more time.
He's not here.
Oh, okay.
Roger Matlin.
Evening, Council.
Evening.
I'm sure you're hoping I wouldn't come up, but sorry I had to. You know, after making numerous requests, and for the record, my name's Roger Matlin, resident up in Estrella Mountain. After making numerous requests to the city regarding the Civic Center and why I thought it was not a good project, I found out that the city has all of one little spreadsheet showing how many properties the city actually leases. And I'm going to read the quote from the email that I received in my public records request to the city, the second one. Roger, attached is information on the leased property for the city of Goodyear. At this time, we do not have a report on owned property. The city of Goodyear doesn't know what properties it owns? Now, I heard that question asked earlier, and with the exception of the fact that the council finally came to its senses and decided to postpone the city center project, I probably would have had a heart attack and needed some of that durable medical equipment for my recovery. But I still want to present this to the council. I gave a copy to Vice Mayor Lord. I've got 2 extra copies here for whoever would like them. My analysis of the city center, as well as the email that I received in my records request, and asking that you postpone the project for at least a minimum of 3 years, since I don't know if I'm going to be available on October the 6th for the meeting. I wanted to make sure I presented it to you now, since the city seemed to have so much difficulty in putting together a simple request, and it just seemed so absolutely ridiculous to me as a taxpayer that you don't even have the resources to put this information together. Yes, it is a good project. It is not a good project today. It is not a good project for at least 3 years from now. And regarding Councilmember Sousa, hopefully there'll be some dedication, whether you're on the council or not, with regard to the city center in the future. But think of the positives that will lead to, rather than putting the city into a bankruptcy type situation or being taken over by the state of Arizona because of making a bad decision regarding the financial stability of the taxpayers of Goodyear. So thank you. And I have 2 copies of this if you'd like.
Would you give them to the city manager and he'll distribute them to us?
I appreciate your time.
Additional copies. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak to the council on a non-agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to consent agenda. I'll ask the city clerk to read the items by title only, please.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a regular meeting held on September 14th, 2009. Item B, approve a request from Valerie Aber representing SC Grill No. 1 LLC for a person transfer series 06 liquor license number 060-70051 for Clubhouse Grill located at 14175 West Indian School Road, number C1. Item C, adopt Resolution 09-1332, adopting and implementing the City of Goodyear Ethics Policy Handbook of 2009 and providing for an effective date. Item D, adopt Ordinance 09-1194, amending Policy Number 200, Employee Compensation, and Policy Number 600, Attendance and Leave Policies, as an amendment to the City of Goodyear Policy and Administrative Guidelines Manual of February 1st, 2004, and adopt Resolution 09-1330, declaring as a public record those certain documents filed with the city clerk and entitled Policy Number 200, Employee Compensation, and Policy Number 600, Attendance and Leave. Item E, approve a professional services agreement to Wood Patel and Associates, Inc., for a total amount of $337,698 for the design of Yuma Road Bridge at Bullard Wash.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, would anyone on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Mayor, I have some questions on D.
On D, okay?
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment.
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. It's nice to see that a restaurant is opening in place of the one that went out of business in this economic downturn. They have confidence enough in Goodyear and the people of Goodyear to open this, and I congratulate and thank them.
Okay. All right, so we're asking to have one item removed from the consent agenda. Would you like to have that removed for the vote and vote separately, or?
I just have some questions.
Okay.
If I don't know how you want to handle it. I've got a couple questions. Do you want to do that like last time, or you want to remove it? It's either way.
Yeah, why don't I want to remove it? It is a serious, significant issue.
Okay.
So let's, seeing no further question.
Yeah, you are removing it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We're going to, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve agenda items 7A, B, C, and E.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. A motion from Vice Mayor Lord, second from Councilmember Antoniak. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lord,
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier,
Aye.
Councilmember Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, so now we have D, and just for everyone's information, that's amending employee compensation and attendance and leave policies, and it's to adopt a couple ordinance changes. Okay, Joe?
A couple questions on the call-out pay, the prior usage of call-out pay and the current proposed on call-out pay. I got some information from you prior to the meeting, so I think I'm pretty set on that as far as the explanation of the differences on that. But the one question I have is, first of all, I'm assuming that the departments right now are regularly going through and looking at savings in non-personnel costs right now. Is that correct?
We're
John?
both going through non-personnel as well as personnel, yes.
Okay. The other question is from a process standpoint. If it comes and you have to implement some form of cuts or furloughs to balance the budget itself, what type of timeline would you be looking as far as notifying employees or notifying the city council? I guess lead time for such a plan would be implemented, an overall process.
I don't have any set timeline in my mind, Mr. Pizzillo, but I believe that I would notify the city council at least a month before doing such action, and we would notify the employees several months before doing such action.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilmember Cavalier?
Yeah, I have several comments on this. One, I read through this policy and I realized this policy has been in place for quite a while. And then they added comments that our present city manager has placed in this. I'm concerned about how it reads. One, in that it puts, well, in the first place, the Constitution of the United States, Constitution of Arizona, is built around balance of power. So the state of Arizona set up city councils so that there would be a city manager council type government, and that it would result in a balance of power. When I read this, if we pass on this and if we continue to keep this as our ordinance, I feel that this puts more power in the hands of the city manager and takes more power away from the city council. So it does not equalize that balance. It takes the balance away from the city council. And I would like to see this redone and rebuilt and reestablished so that it gives us more of a balance, a better balance, with equal balance of power between the council, mayor and council, and the city manager. Right now, in looking at what we have and what is going on with our budget cuts, it brings to attention the fact that it does not sit well with our city staff. It does not sit well with many people in the fact that we have possibility of a lot of layoffs in the future. Very, very possibility. We're not sure with the tax increase and everything else that we've put into this that we are going to be able to go on the next budget year without laying off some people and putting some people out of jobs. And I think that I'm concerned about what has happened in the past because the history of what has happened has not been a positive one. When we talk about the Laurie Hillebrand's incident, the fact that the acting city manager at that time came to the city, some of the city council people, and asked for recommendations and references. Felt that was not right, and that should have been handled in a different way. So many of these things lead me to believe that we need to look at this and we need to rewrite this so that we get a better balance between the city council and the city manager. With that, I'm going to vote against this ordinance when we vote on it. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, may I respond to that?
Let me ask the council.
First?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm a firm believer that the city manager is the administrator. And he should administrate, and that's what he's doing, that's what he's been doing, that's the past ones have been doing. When it's an issue that needs to come before us, he brings it before us, we have the opportunity to vote. He's very open. We can go to him any time, talk about anything we want to do. He comes to us and informs us and briefs us. I'm not in the hall, City Hall, 5 days a week, or am I there from 8 to 5? It takes somebody that is working full-time in the City Hall and with the employees and the directors to make these decisions. We, as council people, I don't think, have the information and the time and the wherewithal to do this. So I totally disagree with you on this one, Councilman Cavalier.
Okay, Councilmember Antoniak.
I'm going to echo Vice Mayor's comments. Really this policy changes two very small sections of one section, makes one minor change to each policy. I don't think we're granting the city manager any more authority than he already has that we can't already take away from him with a majority vote of this council. And so I have the faith and trust in our current management that they will make, in consultation with his senior staff, make adjustments that are best for the city during financial times and best for the city in the coming months. And if we are to be on break for 6 weeks in the middle of July and a furlough is needed and you can't get the 7 of us back together, you have to have the ability to be able to do that furlough if it needs be. You just heard that the notification process was going to be months, if not multiple weeks, if not months, in that process, and I have faith that you'll stick to that. So I'll be supporting this as well, and I don't believe it erodes our ability, with the majority of this council, to be able to erode your ability to do your job.
I too believe in what the Vice Mayor had brought to the council. It indicates to me that we want to start opening old wounds, and I thought we were over that hump and had this council back into uniformity, but I guess we don't.
Okay. Mr. City Manager, you want to say something? Then I want to say something.
I was just going to say, Mr. Mayor, that in response to what Mr. Cavalier said, this is just a proposal to, I don't see it as changing significant policy. I see it as your policy is to adopt a budget. You've done that. My policy is to administer the budget. I'm doing that. And when we found out that this was not within the authority of the city manager, it just struck me as odd that, I mean, I can lay off people, but I can't grant furloughs. I mean, so we just are cleaning it up in the case that we have to do something.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to state something, please.
Yes.
I do believe that this is administrative, and it's no surprise that we've discussed furloughs or reductions in pay because of the budget talks. And I can understand your concern that how can I lay off people but cannot go forth and change the amounts on pay. However, I do think communication is key, and I believe that the seven of us should be able to hear your side and tell you whether or not we believe you're going in the right direction. And as a council, we meet yearly to discuss what our manager has done. And if we've decided he's done wrong to our city, well, we certainly can discipline him at that time. But this is administrative, and this is why it is a council manager-run city. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any desire to discipline the city manager on this. But I do want to look, I think, appreciate Councilmember Cavalier's courage in speaking out on this. No one knows this, but every meeting I bring references from the, virtually every meeting, references from the charter and the ordinance on our duties in case questions come up. And I highlight them. And I have them here with me. And I think Councilmember Cavalier is not going beyond the rights of this council. It says administrative departments, offices, and employees, just a part of it. The council shall provide for the number, title, qualifications, powers, duties, and compensation of all officers of the city. Officers are department heads. And then the city council shall have the right by ordinance to govern the process of setting employee wages, hours, benefits, and working conditions with employees, employee groups, or their representatives. We rarely emphasize those rights because we do have a different view on the role of mayor and council and the city manager. But now we're dealing with a budget crisis, and I think it's incumbent upon us to want to be involved in how this city resolves that budget crisis. And if, in fact, we do cut wages, I'd like to be part of the decision process and determine how that's done. Is it across the board, or is it at the higher level, a higher rate? And I respect the city manager's right to bring that to us, but the decision should rest with us, in my opinion, on what we do on these particular subjects. And I think we have the right to do that. One could argue we have the responsibility to do it. I think the point here is that the city manager can, with these temporary salary adjustments, come to us, but I think the final decision should be in our hands as to how we respond to it. And so I support Mr. Cavalier, and I would vote against this also, and probably for similar reasons, but I'm not exactly sure that probably for similar reasons. I think we both feel that this is a role that the council should be stepping up to.
Mr. Mayor, do you ever feel that we haven't taken on that right and responsibility as a council? Because to me, we approve a budget every single July that incorporates that. and the manager has to operate within that budget. If he steps out of line within that budget and so desires to cut the pay by 10%, I would think we would find it irrational and an abuse of his power, and then would call that to question.
Well, he
and
could do that
reinstate
by these changes.
But I think we have the right and the responsibility at that juncture, if he is to cross that line, to call him on the carpet for it. So I guess to me, it's not that we view the difference of our rights and our responsibilities as given to us by the Charter, because I think you and I actually align on this in that we do have a right and a responsibility to call it to question. It's a matter of making it efficient and lean in such a matter that if it is a crisis, that crisis can be reacted to in such a time frame that is not encumbered upon the manager to call us out of whatever recess we might be involved in or whatever meetings we might be involved in. If there's a 2-week lag time, he can nimbly do that and then come to us with ratification if that's the case. Or we can ask questions at that juncture when we get together again. So I don't think we differ on this in the right and the responsibility. We just differ in maybe our approach and our control of the situation a little differently.
And that may be true. I think that I would rather be a part of the decision process in the formulation of the cuts, if in fact we have to have them, and furloughs, and have a positive relationship rather than being in the have a negative repercussion because I'm disagreeing with a city manager in public presentation. And we've been through that already a couple months ago, and it wasn't pleasant. And I think we can ameliorate some of those unpleasantries by being more involved in the process itself. That's how I feel. I think that's what Councilmember Cavalier.
I think that starts in
if I could, I'd like to respond.
Starts in
to
trust and in two-way communication. And that involves one-on-one meetings, and that involves those of us that are in City Hall when we're there 40 hours a week, walking across the hall, sitting down and having two-way trustful conversations with our manager. So I think it's more than just a right and responsibility conversation here. So anyway, I'm going to be done. I'll vote for this.
Well, and I don't think anybody wants to disagree. I think that certainly trustworthiness is an issue we all face, so, and we all have different perspectives on it. Councilmember Cavalier.
To respond to these other comments, the fact that we, as council members, have to take the responsibility. If we're going to be effective council members, we have to be responsible for this. And if we're called out for something, I know some people work full-time and have full-time jobs, but you're not in a position where you can't be called out if there's something that the city manager needs to discuss with you so that it can be at least so that you can have the information to help make that decision. But and on the other hand, I don't disagree with the fact that, yes, we hired our city manager to manage. We do want him to manage. What we do want to do is make certain that there is a balance of power between the city manager and the city council. And this is not a remark against what you have put on here, John, as a city manager. It was in place before you came here. And it was something that I knew was going to come to a head at one time or another. And since you brought these revisions to us tonight, I thought it was a good time to possibly bring that up and at least make everyone aware of the fact that I don't think this is, and I may be wrong, but I don't think this is the way most city councils operate as far as their ordinances in how they manage or allow the city manager to manage. So again, I just think it needs to be looked at, and I think we need to maybe do some ramifications or revisions to this in general. So I'll leave it at that. As I said, I'm going to be voting against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thought you wanted to say something?
Well, I think it's all been said, so I just want to be known, though, publicly that that I'm always a part of what the city manager is doing, because whenever I approach him and ask a question or ask for the statistics or ask for the reasons or after, I'm always given that information. So it's not like the door is shut and we never get the information. So.
Yeah, and no one's intimidated.
Yeah, I just
We're not saying that.
That's not right.
We're talking about a balance of power.
There's no question there is a good communication. It's
I
the
just one
timing of the
question.
communication.
So you want the balance of power on hiring and firing?
No,
Because
that's not what I said.
when you brought up that incident, it was sort of like hiring, firing. So
Well, in
I just
that
want to make
particular-
sure that we don't want to get into those
No,
pockets.
In that particular instance, that was a situation that should never have happened, and I don't want another situation to happen where something like that may come about. So it's, again, what I want is for us to have another look at this resolution sometime in the very near future, to see if it needs revision and if it will give us a better balance of power. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you. Councilmember Osborne?
No, I think I'll leave.
Okay. Could we have a roll call? Joe?
No, just quick, I feel comfortable with the open, honest communication of the manager, just echoing with, what Vice Mayor has said, so I'll be voting for it.
Okay. Roll call?
You need a motion.
I do.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda item D as in Delta, as read by the clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Souza. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier,
Nay.
Councilmember Antoniak,
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lord,
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Nay.
passes 5-2.
Sounds like a vote we've had before in the last couple of months.
Doing the second time.
Okay?
It's only been the second time since I've.
Did you vote twice?
I'm not from Chicago. Anybody from Chicago?
But you can smile after it, so that's a good sign.
Okay, we'll now move to the business part of our agenda, and I don't have it in front of me. Here we go. Consider adoption of a resolution for approval of the 2010 to 14 5-year consolidated plan update. Katie Wilkin.
Thank you, Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the council. The City of Goodyear is a participant in the Maricopa County HUD Urban County Program. And what this means is that the city applies to Maricopa County to receive Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, and home funds, which are used for housing and community development projects. The Community Development Advisory Committee makes recommendations on these projects to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, and Councilmember Cavalier is our current representative, and Councilmember Osborne is our alternative. As part of this program, HUD requires the county to have a 5-year consolidated plan, which includes the needs and program goals from each member agency. This includes a listing of all the projects the city intends to apply CDBG or home funds for over the next 5 years. In order to apply for home or CDBG funds, a project must be listed in the 5-year consolidated plan. Our current consolidated plan includes 7 projects, which you can see listed above. 3 of these projects have been implemented over the last 5 years. The first is housing rehabilitation. Since 2005, 10 homes have been rehabbed with over $275,000 in investment. And since the program inception in 1991, 88 homes have been rehabbed with over $2 million in home funds invested in the community. There have been 2 CDBG projects completed and 1 is funded. The first is water line replacement in the historic Goodyear neighborhood. Phase 1 is complete and we have been funded for Phase 2. Also, I'm sure you all know that Western Avenue improvements are almost complete. Sidewalk improvements and street lighting was funded by CDBG. And this has meant over $1.2 million in CDBG funds invested in the community over the last 5 years. In order to update the plan, first the city needs to conduct a needs assessment survey to figure out what the housing and community needs of the city are. This also includes holding a public hearing to receive input. From there, we create strategic objectives, which are basically the listing of the projects we wish to apply for CDBG or home funds for over the next 5 years. We then submit the draft to the county, and then CDAC recommends the draft to the Board of Supervisors, and then that plan is given to HUD to implement. This draft will include the projects for fiscal year 10-11, which we will be applying for this winter. So our first project will be starting the application for in the next couple months. So during the Urban County Needs Assessment, The city created a needs survey, and it was available on our website for 1 month, and paper surveys were also distributed at neighborhood meetings that were going on during that time. We held a citizen meeting on August 18th, and at the August Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, we held a public hearing on the items. What we found through this needs assessment is that our highest needs populations are elderly and the disabled, and that the highest needed services are those for the elderly disabled, as well as economic development and job development programs. So with that, when we create the strategic objectives, there's several things we want to keep in mind while we create those. First, they should address the needs we just identified. Second, we have to prioritize our projects. We can't say they're all high priority. We have to start making decisions. It really should be in the redevelopment area. Our projects don't have to be in the redevelopment area, but if they are, they automatically qualify for CDBG funding. If they're outside of the redevelopment area, we have to qualify them, and it just is going to take a little more time. So those in the redevelopment area are a little higher priority. We also have to consider any required match funds or ongoing O&M costs that may be incurred through certain projects. Also, there's a whole host of federal requirements that come with these funds. So if it's a smaller project, we might not want to include all these federal requirements into it, so we probably want to look for larger projects. And also, of course, there's limited funding for all the urban county participants. Typically, we've been receiving around $350,000 to $400,000 for the project, for the CDBG projects, and around $100,000 to $150,000 for home projects over the past 5 years. So keeping all that in mind, these are the projects that we've identified to be part of the consolidated plan. There's 2 home funding projects, continuing our single-family housing rehabilitation program, and then possibly in later years moving on to home buyer assistance as well. We've identified 9 CDBG projects. There is continuing need for the historic Goodyear water line replacement, so we've included that. Sidewalk and lighting improvements for safety and ADA accessibility at our parks, flood drain improvements in historic Goodyear, a new community center in Canada Village, expanding the current community center that's at Loma Linda Park, creation of an ADA accessible playground, commercial building rehab, transportation for low-income individuals, and a residential solar panel subsidizing program. And as you can see, the historic Goodyear water line replacement and the sidewalk and lighting improvements at parks are the 2 projects that we're considering moving forward with in the next couple months to apply for funding. So the application process, as I said, it's in the next several months. The applications are typically made available in October. They will come back to council for approval of the specific projects. At that time, we'll give you details about any possible O&M costs that might be incurred because of them, or any required matching funds that are required for those projects, and council can analyze those projects in detail at that time. We then submit the application to the county around December, and then CDAC would make recommendation around February, and it would go to the County Board of Supervisors in April, and then the city typically receives the release of funds from the county in August, September. The next steps for the consolidated plan are for us, if council approves it tonight, to submit it to Maricopa County. And then Maricopa County will take this information from all the member agencies to create the Maricopa County 5-year consolidated plan. They expect the draft to be complete in March, and then it'll go to CDAC for recommendation, Board of Supervisors for approval, and then it'll be submitted to HUD sometime in May. This concludes my presentation. At the September 16th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they did recommend approval of the plan and that staff be authorized to submit it to the county. And so staff recommends adopting the resolution to authorize staff to submit the plan to the county. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. Comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, ask the clerk to read the resolution, please.
Adopt Resolution 09-1331, approving the City of Goodyear Needs Survey and Strategic Objectives for 2010 to 2015, authorizing the submittal of the Needs Survey and Strategic Objectives to Maricopa County and establishing an effective date.
Could I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Cavalier and second from Councilmember Antoniak. It's open for discussion.
So I have a question. First a comment. Katie has done tremendous job putting this together and taking over where Matt left off, when Matt left us, and you've done a really nice job. I want to commend you for stepping forward and getting up to speed as quickly as you did. You did a tremendous job, and you'll be congratulated for it. Now I have a question. When do we go off of CDAC with the county and go on our own? Isn't that within the next 2 years? And how will this 5-year plan affect us?
Yes, thank you. HUD has actually invited the city to become an entitlement community, but we're currently in the middle of an agreement with the county that will end at the end of fiscal year 2011-2012. So we have 2 more funding cycles with the county, and then we become an entitlement community. There's a lot of plans and paperwork that gets involved. So the 5-year consolidated plan does extend past this time because, you know, we don't just want to drop off our projects. We do want to be thinking about what we'll want to do when we're an entitlement community. But before we become an entitlement, we are going to have to revisit this plan. So we will get another shot at these projects and be able to rethink about it as we're an entitlement community. What else can we do? How can we broaden our horizons? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Aye.
Councilmember Antoniak?
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move, any comments on current events from council members?
I do. I have a few. Can I start? Okay. Took a tour of the REDS facility. Great job, staff. It was wonderful. I've attended numerous MAG meetings that specifically were related to youth and homelessness. I attended the Arizona Small Business Association mixer. Today, I took a tour of Wildflower Ranch Park South and Estrella Vista. Tomorrow is a follow-up work session with our 6 school districts and all of their principals. And lastly, I would like our city manufacturing companies to be expecting in the mail a letter from me and our Economic Development Department with a report from the Governor's Manufacturing Summit. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Association. It's an opportunity to tour the water treatment plant with Director Charles.
Please speak into the mic, Councilmember Sousa.
Sorry. I had an opportunity to tour the water treatment plant with Director Charles McDowell, and I want to appreciate the time that you took. And it was very informative to see where that plant has come along. Surprisingly, the size of that. And to walk around, it made me a little tired, but I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the city manager?
Not this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and any inquiries of staff by council?
Yes. Next page. Okay. I've had numerous emails, calls, and comments given regarding the city's landscaping in their right-of-ways, street medians, and a little on the parks. I have the understanding that our city's landscaping is addressed in different ways. 1, through Perryville Cruise. 2, through, there are 2 CFDs that pay for landscaping. 3, our park crews take care of parks and can only concentrate on the parks at this time. And 4, there are certain areas of the city that are being paid for by the city to take care of the landscaping. This was a surprise to me, and I don't think that I'm alone in understanding how all of this is taking place. I would like a breakdown given to show us these specifics. Also, I realize that we do not have ample funding, but for the future, we need to have policy regarding plant revegetation, or I think Mike Svets calls it life cycle replacement, which could mean plants, granite, things like that. Even when we had money a few years ago, we didn't take care of these problems. And we have areas in the city that are pretty old, and since the landscaping has died, it has not been replaced. And so for the future, I think we need to address this. and I would like to talk about it.
To go along with that, Joanne, is that in response to the email that we received from Estrella Vista?
Yes, we have
And I
received
did
emails.
forward that on to Parrish, and it has all of these points in it. And it's interesting because this is not the first time. This was brought up before, and we actually went in and corrected a lot of the areas, and so it seems to be coming back.
Well,
So.
it's coming back, but, and some of it, it's been going on for years, and we just haven't addressed it. And like I said, I know we don't have the money now, but we need to address it, so for the future, it's that broken window theory again. And, thank you.
You have it for an action then, I guess? Accept?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good meeting. We had two good meetings.